Hey everybody, it's Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. Thank you so much for watching. We are going to be talking about music, music education, music for all summer, Symposium, and the man of the hour, Richard Saucedo. Richard, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tim. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
So great, Tim. And listen, everybody, like every now and then I get to talk to a true celebrity in the world of music and marching. And there's no question that Mr. Saucedo certainly fits the bill.
You're very kind.
Richard, you have to own that, right? Come on.
I just, you know what? I love what I do, and I've had so many good experiences in this profession. Profession's been great to me. The folks in this profession have been great to me, and right now I'm in a time of my life where I'm just trying to give back to as many people as I can.
I love it. Well, you're doing it in a big way, and thank you for stopping, because everybody, he is a busy man, so I so appreciate him stopping to talk with us today. We're going to be talking about creating an ensemble sound. So there's going to be tips here that you or somebody that you know can use to create a great ensemble sound with your group. And particularly, Rich, we're going to be talking about sort of the context of taking all of these directors and students who show up at the Music for All Summer Symposium and sort of turning them into an ensemble really fast. And of course, you do that as a clinician all the time. Everybody knows your long career, 31 years at Carmel High School. We all know the great work there and the wonderful marching and concert programs and everything that was going on there. Of course, you're a composer and arranger. We know that you wrote for the Cavaliers for many, many years in the 2000, 2008. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
What a great run of shows and corps, and that design team was on fire. And of course, 5 world championships. So that's quite a legacy in the world of drum corps.
It was amazing. And, that was definitely a team effort. I was just just a small part of a huge team, a very talented team, people who were willing to leave their egos at the door. And we just did what was best for the guys, and it was fun because we were able to experiment with some original music, which folks get nervous about sometimes, but we took a chance, and luckily it paid off for us 5 times.
Well, yeah, no doubt about that. And I have to tell you that that Four Corners is still it's like in the very, very top few of my all-time favorite shows. Man, I love that. So
thank you so much. I appreciate that. That means the world.
Such a great show. So everybody, the Summer Symposium is coming up this year, June 27th through July 2nd. And Richard, it's so exciting. We're back in person and having a real symposium again.
Yeah, it's going to be great to be at Ball State again and have a chance to actually meet face to face, as you said, with directors, with students, and to have all the staff around live again. It's just going to be so much fun. And I think you never know what you have sometimes until you don't have it. And we've missed this experience truly. And so we're really looking forward to being back at Ball State again.
I'd say that's one of the silver linings of this whole thing we've all been through, is that we're not taking things for granted. I mean, I hear that all the time. And here's one more thing on the list that so many people have missed that they're excited that's coming back. So everybody, you can check that out. camp.musicforall.org is where you can find out more about that. Now, everybody, if you're watching this, post some questions in the comment. We'd love to know what you'd like to tell us, where you're watching. And if you have a question for Richard, because you're getting to talk to a celebrity, as I said at the beginning, so you can ask him questions as we go. Now, Richard, you are part of the director's track, which is the directors, instructors, all those folks that come, and then you direct the director's band. So this is an example of you having to create a good ensemble sound out of all of these people coming from all over everywhere.
Well, I'm fortunate because you can imagine a team of band directors forming an ensemble. It's just fun, first of all. It's just a lot of fun. And the folks that come to camp that are part of the director's band, we have a great time together. We do try to make it an ensemble as quickly as we can, a little easier with adults sometimes than it is with kids. But with the director's band, we focus on 2 things specifically. Number one, we focus on literature. I'll try to find literature from all the different publishers, and I'll try to find literature from different parts of the world, from unique composers, diverse composers, just the full gamut, so that directors can see what's out there. And we'll try to find new stuff, and we'll also play some oldies but goodies. And so that part of it's really fun. And then the second part of it is we kind of work together to come up with teaching concepts. How are these directors going to go home and make their groups better than they've ever been? And some of them come from really fine programs. So it's a challenge sometimes, but we try to find beginning ideas, intermediate ideas, and advanced ideas to help these folks when they go back. But some of them are pretty strong already.
Well, no doubt about that. But I would think like one of the coolest things about being somewhere like the Summer Symposium and being a part of a band of band directors, I guess, or instructors, is just being inspired by all the great people around you. Just being in that environment, getting to rub elbows with so many people. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful educators, well-known designers and teachers that are running around during all that.
Absolutely. There are just some superstars of our activity. And that's the great thing about the camp. Whether you're a student or whether you're a director, there's all kinds of things to learn. And so it really is neat to be all around all those people. And I always meet so many new directors, which is great. The more collaboration, the better, I think. And usually a lot of us will continue that collaboration even after the symposium is finished.
Awesome. So we're talking about creating a great ensemble sound. We're going to getting into some specifics. We're going to pick Richard's brain and he's going to give us some tips. But the first thing I want to ask you is, I recently did a podcast with the people that put together the band director band at the Rose Bowl parade. We all loved seeing that the big float with the director and the band came down, they opened up, the float comes through. It was really exciting. So, I did a conversation with three of the band directors who were in the band. Then I did a conversation with, John Waters and Karen Sewell, who put that all together. I think I got her name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Anyway, I should look that up, everybody. But they talked about, and the thing I was asking them was, okay, this seems like a bit of a setup. Like you have all these band directors and everybody knows how it's supposed to go, like how they would teach their band to go down the street. Sure. So like, do you ever get into any of that with the band director band? I mean, I know that you're standing on the podium, so nobody's going to really give you a hard time about anything, but like everybody probably has their own concept of what a great ensemble sound is.
That's the special thing, I think, about people that are willing to come out to professional development things like this in the summer is they want to learn. They don't want to come out there and tell everyone what they know. They want to learn. And that's what makes it very, very special. And it's not that they're the only ones that learn. I learn a ton from them every year. Some of those directors have just great programs. And what's even cooler is some of them are coming from small programs where they're just kicking butt as a director and making programs that shouldn't be as good as they are because they're just great teachers. So I continue to learn from all our directors.
And of course, they're super smart because they're doing great work, probably because they're putting themselves in situations like at the Summer Symposium where they're going to learn things, they're around smart people, they're soaking up all kinds of stuff. Okay, so you do a lot of clinician work as well. You probably do a lot of sort of standing in front of a group that's just been thrown together like an all-state group or district group or whatever. So where's the starting point? You're standing in front of a brand new group of musicians. They've never played together as a group. How do you start to create a sound? What's the first thing?
It's funny because I'm really warmed up for this conversation, Tim, because I just finished 7 straight weekends of honor bands and all-state bands.
That's amazing.
I just got back from Idaho doing their all-state band. Great group of kids. And all the honor bands that I did around the country in different parts, all of them were in different parts of the country, but just, band kids are amazing. They're just amazing. And so it's a lot of fun. But you're right. It's a challenge, even though, you never know what kind of talent you're going to get in these bands. Now, if it's an all-state band, you have a pretty good idea that they're going to be pretty good. And the Idaho kids were pretty amazing. But even in some of the other honor bands, I've had some really talented folks. But you're right. If you have 2 days before a concert, maybe you're lucky if you have 2.5 days before a concert, you have to dig right in. And the toughest thing, I don't know if it's the toughest thing, but I think it's the most important thing that I talk to the kids about before we even start, is I ask them to trust. I said, do you think you can trust someone you don't even know for 2 days or 2.5 days? And like I said, they're band kids and they want to be great, so that they all say yes and we get started. And I'm like, even if I say different things that you might not used to, and they're all good about it. So we start from the beginning with just ensemble basics. And I'll make this real quick so it's not boring, but The first thing we do is learn how to breathe. And you think, well, these kids are in band and they know how to breathe. But I think most directors watching would agree with me that it's sometimes tough for us to get kids to be consistent when they breathe. And if you're trying to create a great sonority from your band, in this case, a concert band from the winds, they have to breathe properly. So we'll do that. We'll do some breathing exercises. We'll talk about stupid things like Darth Vader. I always tease, especially when I'm dealing with young kids, I'll tease and say, Darth Vader would have been one heck of a wind player. He would have been a great woodwind or brass player because he knew how to breathe. And as soon as you do that, all the kids know exactly what you're after. And so I'll do things like that. We'll do those exercises. And then we'll move on to tone quality, which is always number one after breathing. We try to, since I have a short time, I'll try to use kids in the ensemble as examples. I'll have a student play just a long tone. And then I'll ask that student, how much of your sound that you just played is pure tone and how much of it is what I call noise? And when you first talk about that, the kids kind of look at you funny, like, noise? And then I'll do something like, have you ever heard a student do this? Yeah, when they enter, or they cut off and they go, duh, right? And they all raise their hands, right? So they know. I'm like, that's noise. So we want to get rid of all the noise, all the fuzz. And it's pretty amazing because the minute that student puts the horn back on their face, they know how it feels to get their best sound, and they make little adjustments, and all of a sudden their sound gets clearer. So everyone gets the idea. But the breathing and the tone quality things are, you can't go on until those are done. And when you're doing honor bands or all state bands, it's tough sometimes because you keep looking at your watch, saying, how much time do I have left? But that, those two things you have to do, blend, balance, tuning. I could go on forever, about the things that we do. I think the next important thing is blend. I'll have 3 kids stand up and that play the same instrument. And I'll say, play a long tone, and I'll tell the rest of the band, raise your hand when these 3 sound like one. And so immediately they understand what blend means. Then we'll talk about balance, where we want the ensemble sound balanced from the bottom up, and we have balance percentages. So we do things like that. You would think that with a new ensemble of kids that you do a lot of tuning, but if the breathing's right, if the tone's right, if the blend is right, and the balance is right, you'll be shocked at how many intonation problems go away. And then it's a matter of just fine tuning some things. Hope that all made sense. I know that's
no, that's I think it's really interesting. And hey everybody, I'm talking to Richard Saucedo. If you have questions for him, please type them in. Richard, that makes perfect sense to me because we all know that, like, if you're playing with a great sound and you're listening for balance and blend and all that stuff, the tuning's going to happen. It's almost like a default because it's all about training the ears. I felt like when I was a band director eons ago and I was in the classroom, it was a long time ago for me, but it was all about them getting used to hearing and listening around the ensemble.
Sure.
That's certainly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And, it's one thing, I always, when I do sessions with band directors, I always say, would you agree that band directors, no matter where they're at, say the same things? And they all agree. Of course, we talk about breathing, we talk about tone, the other things that I mentioned. We could add a bunch more to it, musicianship, etc., artistry, whatever. But we all pretty much say the same things. So the question is, why are some programs different than others? And I think the answer to that is we all say the same things, but we don't always expect the same things. So asking students to listen is great if you actually teach them how to listen. And I'm a big believer that we should look at, and I made these mistakes, guilty as charged when I was younger, and I still make them occasionally. But, looking at a section and saying, man, guys, you got to play better in tune. And, it's silly for me to say that if they don't know what in tune is. So we use tuners as a visual reference to help. We talk about tuning tendencies on the instruments. We use something called the tonal energy tuner. We'll use the Yamaha Harmony Director. So there are all kinds of things, devices. There's all kinds of great technology that we have now that can help kids to listen. And I think it's a matter of us as directors not skipping steps. And I think if you can get through a rehearsal without skipping steps, well, first of all, that rehearsal is going to go by like that. And you're going to say, I didn't get anything done. And nothing could be further from the truth, because if everything that you did was leading to the kids doing one thing correctly, then they have that in their ear. They have that in their brain. They have that in their heart, right? So they know what they're listening for. And sometimes I think we're afraid to take the time to get one thing right. And because we're afraid that the kids are going to lose interest. So I always preach about, let's not entertain kids, let's teach kids. And then if they're really good, they're going to get plenty of entertainment later on. Because when I start, and I remember I know All-State Band, I had 3 days with them and wonderful kids, but some of them would come up after the first day or halfway through the second day and go, man, this listening thing, it's like, we really have to do it all the time. And I said, you just got to trust me, guys. You got to trust me. And, people would be overplaying at times and I'd ask them to relax. And they're like, that's not how I play, so they question a lot of things. But then when we get to the concert on Sunday, this is why I love doing this, because then I'll have kids come up saying, wow, I had no idea we were going to sound like that on Sunday in the performance, or on Saturday night in the performance. So getting kids to what I call the emotional level through fundamentals, which sounds funny to people because you think of fundamentals, you don't think of emotion. All right. But I've had some really emotional experiences with honor bands and all-state bands, even this year after COVID, because they were willing to work on those basics that we were talking about. So they started to sound really beautiful. And so, especially when they played ballads or something like that, the audience was just like, whoa, how are they getting that sound? But it takes time. It just takes time, and you can't skip steps, even with an honor band. You can tell I'm passionate about this, right?
No, I love it. I'm so excited that we're getting to hear you talk about this. Everybody, I'm talking to, of course, Richard Saucedo about creating a great ensemble sound. He's talking about it right now in the context of these, weekend honor bands or all-state bands, whatever that you've been doing, Richard. And of course, we're talking about he directs the band director band, or the director's band at the Summer Symposium that happens this year, June 27th through July 2nd. Richard, I love that you do that. And just from what you just said, I would love to sit in a band for a week and let me see you put those concepts into action. That's just so valuable. This is true. This idea about the fundamentals taking us to a place that's exciting and entertaining and emotional, that's true in every aspect. It's true of marching and color guard and drum. It's true of all of it. How do you convince the students to stick through that basics fundamental part? Because we all know once it's really fun to be good, but you have to get them to that point.
Well, what's always tough at first is, just like I said, getting them to trust the system. And I always tell them, because it's not an ego thing. It's just, I've done this. I'm so frigging old that I've done this for so long. And I'll get up in front of the kids and I'll say, how old do you think I am? And then I'll say, don't answer that, but I'll say, I'll tell you this, I'm old enough to know some stuff. And if you'll trust me, you won't believe how you'll sound at our concert. And you know what? They're band kids. They trust. And I'll tell you, we've had some really emotional performances this year from kids that when we started the band weren't all that great. And they know that. And they just kept getting better and better and better. And, I overheard some kids talking last week, I think it was, when I was doing an honor band, and they didn't know I was standing around, and they were like, man, I can't believe how great we sound right now. And to me, that's it. That's what we're after. We're after kids being proud of themselves. We're after kids wanting people to hear them, and getting goosebumps from being part of an ensemble like that. And that's what I'm after. When I was younger, Tim, I was into the award thing and trophy thing, and it was just so stupid, and we were fortunate now, occasionally to do things and at Carmel, and now my former students do it better than I ever did, which I'm the most proud papa ever. But now I realize it's not about that. It's about how the kids come into the room wanting to be in that room and not being able to wait to make that next sound. And then when it's over, almost being sad that it's over and thinking, okay, I can't wait to get back here the next day. But that's not going to happen unless we as directors stick to our guns and ask the kids to trust us. Now, that's part of it. When they start getting that sound and when they start hearing it from the audience and they go home and their parents are like, wow, you guys sounded amazing. It sounded almost professional. That's when you got them. And that's when kids go, okay, this is pretty fun. And was it all worth it? Every kid I've talked to, like, yeah, it was worth it. I didn't get it at first, but yeah, it was worth it.
That's really amazing. And that's a life-changing experience. Being in one of those ensembles. I mean, I remember as a kid in high school, sitting in an all-state band, and there were sounds all around me and the sound of the ensemble, even though I was in a really good band back at my school, but not like that, like where there's just this depth of great sound and everybody's just as nerdy and excited about it as I am, and so that is a life-changing experience. And I love that you're having that. I mean, how wonderful. I mean, it's a lot of work. I know what you're doing, but imagine weekend after weekend, you can give that to those students and change them, and they go back and know so much more what's possible with their own ensemble.
And that's the goal too, is to send them back and into their sections back home, and then then listen to their sections and look at them and say, hey guys, let's try this. But I'll tell you, the neat part for me too is the audience, the moms and dads. I'll tell you I'll make this as quick as I can, but this will explain to you what I'm talking about. So I was directing a group in Eastern Pennsylvania, and we did a piece called Good Night, Dear Heart by Dan Forrest, just absolutely beautiful ballad. These were a group of kids that were very talented, but they also trusted me on the system to get the ensemble sound right. And so because of that, they had just an absolutely beautiful performance of that piece. I saw that some of the kids had tears, at the end. And what I think people forget sometimes is that they can't get to that level without the fundamentals being right, because it's a combination of the sound and the piece you're playing. Now, here's the great part of the story. We're done with the concert, and I'm heading to New York City to have some dinner with friends. And I stop at a convenience store because I'm a Mountain Dew freak, which of course is not good for you, but I had to get my Mountain Dew. So I was stopping at a convenience store, and I reached in the refrigerator to pull it out, and someone tapped on my shoulder. And I turned around. This lady started talking to me, and then she stopped and started crying. And I was like, ma'am, are you okay? Do I need to call 911? What's going on? And she goes, just give me a second. Give me a second. And she goes, you were the director. I said, oh, of the honor band. She goes, yeah, my daughter was one of the clarinets. She goes, I've never felt emotions like that in a concert. And I just looked at her, we hugged. And I said, you just made my day, because that's what we're after. And that's what we're after. And the kids know it. The kids know they sound like that. They believe in it. And that's what makes it special. And that's why I encourage directors everywhere. And, I'm not doing anything that I didn't learn from someone else. Everything I do, I stole from someone else, but I encourage directors so much to stick to their guns on these fundamental sound things, because it, like you said, it will change those kids' lives when they start sounding amazing like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. That's such a great story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like, students know when they sound good, and they can tell all of a sudden when the ensemble's starting to sound good, and you just have to get them there. Right. And it's not like they have to sound like the best band they've ever heard. They just need to sound good, and they can tell.
Right.
We got some comments over here. Gary Gribble is watching. Hey, Gary. Thank you so much.
Gary.
Gary says, such great philosophical and practical concepts. Spot on. Thanks for sharing, Richard.
Yeah, Gary's one of my heroes. Great director from down in Cobb County, who I'm who has retired at this point, and when he left, we lost a good one in the profession. But
but like yourself, he and so many
he's doing it.
Are still out there sharing what
Yep.
they know. I love this, everybody. Like, thanks for continuing to share your expertise and your passion for what we're
doing. Absolutely. And Gary's a great one to share his info because he has a lot of info to share.
Oh, absolutely. So, Gary, thanks for watching. We have another question here. This is Elkin. He says he's greetings from Colombia, South America. And here's his question. Nice. What are all the aspects that kids should cover step by step in order to achieve that great sound? What should be first? What should be second? Okay. I don't know if we have time for all this, but I'm definitely going to have Richard answer. And when they are finally covering all the things, what should be the structure of the rehearsal? Okay. That's a lot of questions, but Richard, do you want to say what's first, what's second in the process?
I can do that. I think first is always breathing because that determines how you sound. Second is sound quality. Third is blend. And this is a step that a lot of us miss. Guilty as charged. If your kids don't understand blend within their section, you're not going to sound good. Fourth is ensemble balance. And if we're talking about just warm-ups where the full band is playing, you want balanced percentages. You want the really low instruments providing about 45% of the sound. You want the tenor instruments providing 30%. You want the alto instruments like horns and alto sax providing 15%. Everybody else, including trumpets, flutes, clarinets, piccolos, etc., provides only 10% of the ensemble sound. So that's really important as well. Then you go on to technical exercises to see if they can put that into practice when they're doing technique. But here's the thing. Once you get those concepts set, you can't let them go. If you hear something in a music rehearsal, and this will drive kids crazy, but you have to stop them and ask them, what did you just hear? And does that fit our philosophy? So it's not just about teaching the concepts. All right. It's about maintaining the concepts and not letting them get by when they play music or whatever with doing something different. I tried to answer that as quick as I could.
No, that was great. That was great. And by the way, everybody that's watching, we talked about some of these things in a little bit more depth early in the conversation. So if you joined us later, that's awesome. But the recording is going to be wherever you're watching this, recording is going to be here. So I would recommend that when we're done is go back and watch the first part of this if you didn't see it. And if you are enjoying this conversation and think it's helpful, first off, like it so more people will see it, and then let other people know that it's here wherever you saw it. We're on just about everywhere right now where people can catch this stuff. So let them know. Richard, I think the idea of standing in front of a brand new group of students every week and having to go through this process sounds exciting, but also kind of terrifying. You know what I mean? Like your reputation's on the line every week. Yeah, well, can I take this group, and whip them in? But the process works. Is that where it comes from? Is you just know the steps work?
Well, my colleagues that know me really well are going to be laughing when they hear me say this, but usually after the first night, I lay in my hotel room and I can't sleep because I'm like, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. I can't figure out, and oh no, here's how they're going to sound, and they're going to be so disappointed and da 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 da. And I'll call my friends or my wife, and I'll just say, this is it. No one's ever going to ask me to do this again, and it is frustrating. But I always tell the kids, even though I get like that and get down sometimes, it's because I'm always chasing excellence. I'm always chasing excellence. And I tell them, if you chase excellence, there's going to be nights you're going to be down, but there's going to be some other nights where you're going to be on top of the world. And, Tim, we've all done it. There's been times we've gone through life like this, and so I always ask our kids to reach for that excellence, no matter what group I talk to, because I just tell them it will change their lives. And our concept is one of those ways to show them that.
Well, and who wants to go through life like this? Like, life is a roller coaster ride. It's like somebody said to me one time, not wanting any drama in your life or anything to go badly. It's like wanting a straight line on your EKG.
Exactly.
I don't want that, But it has to have ups and downs as part of it. And that's the same with every ensemble that we're a part of or that we're standing in front of. So that's really interesting. You know, it's so funny you mentioned that because I have had many, many clinics where I've stood in front of a marching band and I'm there for like a 2-day or clinic or something. And it's the same thing. You get to the end of that rehearsal and you and your team sit down and you're like, we have got to figure out how to solve whatever this problem is. You know, something about the show's not working, blah, blah, blah. But there's always an answer. And by the end of it, we always figure it out. And that's really fun. You know, it's a little Sherlock Holmesy, I guess. But
absolutely. And that's what's great about music educators and people that are in this activity, whether you're teaching music, whether you're teaching the visual aspect, it doesn't matter. We're people that are going to get upset if 99 out of 100 kids has it figured out, but one doesn't. We're going to go to bed that night thinking, how can I take care of that one kid? And that's what's special about people in this activity. And that's why I still absolutely love it, because I think it teaches kids so much about how to go through their lives searching for excellence.
Yeah, and everybody matters. You know, nobody's left behind in band. You know, like
Right.
we're all a part of the ensemble. Every person on that marching field or sitting in that concert ensemble matters, has to do their part. It's part of the whole. It's a great thing. Everybody, we started the conversation. I'll remind you again, Richard is the director of the Directors Band as part of the Directors Track at the Summer Symposium this year. It's happening, hooray, at Ball State on June 27th through July 2nd. Richard, what do you, we're about to finish this conversation, everybody. Hope if you've enjoyed it, let people know, rewind and watch the whole thing. Richard, what's the thing you're most excited about being back in person this year?
Just being able to interact with those directors and with the kids at camp, you know, just being able to talk again about what we do and share information back and forth and have some laughs and give each other a hug, which we haven't been able to do forever. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking time to talk to me. Thanks for continuing to share your expertise and being out there every weekend, giving these band students these wonderful experiences. It's really great, the work you're doing. And it's going to be exciting to see what happens at the Summer Symposium. You're going to be there on the podium, helping put that ensemble together that week. So it's going to be fun.
But Tim, I appreciate all you do as well. You know, these podcasts are a great resource for all educators, let alone music educators and visual educators. So I appreciate you doing this, because I know it takes your time too, but I know you and I know how passionate you are about this. And I think it's a great thing. So I hope you keep doing this forever.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you so much. It's so fun for me to feel like, okay, maybe some conversation I can help share will help somebody.
Yep.
And then all their students have a bit, like, I feel like their students are going to have a better experience. The audience is going to have a better experience. Like it's exponential, the number of people that we all can touch in our activity. And so I love getting to do this work. Thank you for those very kind words. And thanks for talking to me today. This was really, really fun.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thanks.
Always enjoy it.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Really, really appreciate it.